Rings of Power Season 2 is incredible. And what I mean by that, it's incredible how they managed to make it so fucking shit. Look, I'm not a Tolkien expert, I've read the books when I was younger, and sometimes when I'm bored, I watch videos on lore and stuff, so I would say I know more than the average person, but again, I'm no expert. But it doesn't take an expert to realize that this show is incredibly bad. I'm mostly gonna talk about Season 2 because Season 1 was a long time ago, and God, please don't make me watch it again. The first scene of the new season, and I kid you not, is literally Sauron getting killed by orcs and turning into a walking pile of shit. I have no words for this. Okay, I lied, I do. Firstly, Sauron getting killed by orcs, I don't think makes much sense because the orcs were terrified of Morgoth, so I would think they would be terrified of his right-hand man they know for an age. Plus, orcs aren't that smart, that's kinda their whole point, and I know that Adar or whatever his name is made them do it, but who the hell is Adar? Then we see how he got the medallion from the first season, which I think is a waste of time because we already knew that he stole it, and frankly, it wasn't that interesting, he just got it from a guy he tricked. The fuck did I watch 10 minutes of this? The next time we see Sauron or Halbrand, whatever, he lets himself get captured only to then beg to be released. What the fuck? Why didn't he go directly to Eregion? Am I missing something? The next time we see him, he just waits outside Eregion for half an episode, then he reveals himself as Anatar, bringer of gifts, which was supposed to happen at one point, but in the books, I think that this is the first time he comes to Eregion, so it makes more sense that Celebrimbor would trust him than in the show where he was here before, then Galadriel explicitly told him to never treat with Halbrand again, but he does it anyway when he knows there's something fishy with this dude. And Halbrand's excuse is that Galadriel learned that he was a messenger of the Valar and she sent him away. The elves worship the Valar, why would she turn him away? It doesn't make any sense. Plus everything was just so flamboyant, it doesn't really fit the world of Tolkien. My problem in general is with Celebrimbor, cause in the books he is this badass elf, but in the show he just kinda looks like my uncle, but that's the show's smallest problem. In the next episode, Sauron manipulates him to get mad at Gil-galad, which is kinda what he does, and Celebrimbor invites Durin the Younger, they're all called Durin, to negotiate about more mithril for new rings. So let's talk about the dwarves a bit. Nice segue, thank you for noticing. Last season you remember Mount Doom exploding? Well, that apparently sent a shockwave so big it reached Khazad-dûm and it basically trapped the dwarves inside without light, and without light they can't grow crops and that's not good cause they're starving. We also have this new plot with Durin being disinherited by Durin because he sold mithril to Elrond last season, and this plot I actually do like because in a show in which every subplot is so absurd and complicated, seeing the confrontation between the mentalities of a father and son is a well-needed step back. Also, mad respect for Durin for not trusting the guy who claims he's an envoy of the gods and offers them a magical artifact that can miraculously solve all the problems they are currently facing. As for Disa and the Black Woman dwarves, the race and sexuality of a character aren't the problem. The problem is absolute shit writing. And this doesn't apply only to this show, but in general, you know what I mean, I'm not gonna go further into this. Now let's talk about probably my least favorite arc, and look, to be the shit that stands out in a bigger pile of shit is kind of impressive, I can't deny that. The Gandalf plotline. I mean, they didn't drop him yet, so for all we know, he could be Radagast, but let's be honest, he's fucking Gandalf. And you wanna know why this is the worst plotline? Because it's the only one that has nothing, and I mean nothing to do with the books. Gandalf shouldn't even be in Middle-earth at this point, so everything the showrunners created for him, like the Rune plotline and the Dark Wizard and these guys that just look so fucking stupid, is utter bullshit. And look, I know I sound mad because I am. What the hell is Tom Bombadil doing in Rune? And the magic and how it's portrayed. Since when there is magic, flying bug, teleportation in Middle-earth? I mean, who even is the Dark Wizard? At first glance, probably everybody thought it's Saruman because they did try to make him look like Christopher Lee, but if it's Saruman, then it ruins his whole character cause he turned to evil because of the One Ring, and that is a great mechanism to show the ring's true power and that it can even affect Maiar. So if he's already evil then turns to good, then evil again, what's the whole point? Plus, don't even get me started on the Harfoots. I have nothing personal with the actors that played them, however, they are just the most annoying characters I've ever fucking seen. Again, nothing personal, but when they're on screen, I honestly physically restrain myself from not skipping forward. I'm sorry, but it had to be said. Okay, what do we have next? Oh yeah, the plot with Isildur and the elf dude. I kid you not, as I was writing this I had to Google his name because he just doesn't do anything except look sad and act like he's Superman. His name is Arondir, by the way. But can we please stop portraying elves as superheroes? I mean, I know everything got Marvelified, but let's just stop for a second. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Peter Jackson movies were guilty of this as well. But the biggest issue with this plotline is that I don't fucking get it. So like the people of the south are fighting the people that served Sauron and they steal their horses and stuff. And Isildur's whole thing is that he wants to go home, but he doesn't do anything towards it, and it's been 4 episodes. I mean, do you wanna go home or not? Make up your fucking mind. But one scene that I actually like is the one with Isildur by the fire, when he tells Astrid how his mother died. It was kind of emotional, I'm not gonna lie. But one thing that really surprised me is that we see an ant wife, which that's cool, right? Nah, like for real, that's really cool. Numenor. Looks insane, but that's about it. The coronation scene was nice, I'll give them that, but everything else is just so high school drama. Oh, we don't want the queen, we want this dude. And Elendil did literally nothing for 4 episodes, but okay. I mean, Numenor is supposed to be this insane powerhouse, but instead they cry over a Palantir. But finally, we get to the elves. It was actually, and bear with me now, quite decent. Yeah, there were some scenes like the Barrow Whites, which again shouldn't exist at this point because they came after the wars with Angmar, and frankly their CGI was kinda bad, but the fact that Elrond goes rogue and tries to stop the use of the 3 rings was interesting because it makes sense cause Sauron was there when they were forged, and again in the books he wasn't there, so it does make sense for him not to trust them. But on the other hand, it also makes sense for the other elves like Círdan, Gil-galad and Galadriel to use them because it was the last hope for the elves to not leave Middle-earth. So I did kinda find it enjoyable, sort of. Look, I know that for the last 8 minutes or so, all I did was rant like a 10-year-old child, but the show is really bad. I mean, it truly is. And the reason why it's bad is because it has the Lord of the Rings name. If it was its own thing, it would have been one of those generic shows that everybody forgets in like 2 years. But you can't make a Lord of the Rings show and throw almost everything Tolkien wrote out the window. I mean, what if in HBO's Rome they started talking about the Byzantine Empire? I mean, yeah, sure, they're connected to each other, but that's not why I'm here. And it's sad because Peter Jackson showed us 20 years ago what the potential of this series can be if you take into consideration the source material. Yeah, the trilogy had changes from the books, but do you ever hear someone complain about those? No, because they were changed with stuff that actually made sense, unlike Rings of Power. But that's enough complaining, tell me what you think in the comments, and I know that this video is quite different from what I usually put out, but I decided to try something new as well. But I'll see you again soon, goodbye.